All right, welcome into another episode of the Roane General Hospital's Prescription for Your Health podcast. I'm Andrew Miller, your host, once again joined by one of the wonderful fitness trainers here at the fitness complex on the physicality side of the Prescription for Your Health program. We're joined today by Veronica Stover. Thank you for joining us, Veronica. Appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
And one of the things we're going to talk about today is we talked many times in many different episodes to many different people about level of intensity when it comes to fitness. What people may think being fit is, what people think when they think of, well, I got to go to the gym. It means I got to lift tons of heavy weights. I got to do this. I've got to run on the treadmill for hours at a time. It's not that set in stone.
Exactly.
There are many, many different forms, iterations, depending on the individual, of what represents good mobility, good balance, good movement, good exercise. And I continue to go back when I talk to our hospital CEO, Doug Bentz, about the entire goal of Prescription for Your Health is to improve the quality of life. And what that means is different to every human being. And so we're going to talk to you about some of the classes you do. We're going to talk about some of your participants, ages, different styles, whoever it is. But before we do that, I always want to go back and I want to talk to you about where this all began for you. Obviously, you've been a member of the community in Roane County for many, many years. People know who you are. People have been around you. You've been an active human being, generally speaking, for the majority of your life.
Yes. Yep.
But what got you here? What sent you on a path to, I want to become a teacher of classes, I want to become a personal trainer. Physical exercise and fitness is that important to me in your middle ages, if I could say that.
Exactly. Yes. I am approaching 60 years old. So
You look good for 60, by the way.
well, thank you very much. I just started this whole direction in my life a few years ago. Living my crazy busy life. They used to tell me I was like the Tasmanian devil. I was in a spin going 1,000 miles an hour at all times, volunteering for everything. I volunteered for 4-H, for Girl Scouts, for church, for everything. And then I got hit in the face with a big brick. Stage 3, almost stage 4 colon cancer. Whoop, we're going to kick you down now. Massive major surgery. Lots and lots of body parts removed from me. Chemotherapy that wouldn't recommend that or wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
And during that time, you feel so miserable and you're so sick and you have no energy. I could also relate to so many other people who told me they felt the same way, but they weren't even sick. I feel so miserable. I have no energy. I feel sick all the time. And it just kind of made me start looking at, gosh, when I get better, I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm growing older and I want to get stronger and I want to be healthier as I process through this. So I started just looking into different ways that I could exercise, but I, like most people, had it in my head, what I see on YouTube, what I see on Facebook, these 6-foot tall women that weigh 112 pounds with muscles like crazy. I'm like, well, I ain't never going to be that, but how can I move? And I moved into a form of exercise, which was called groove at that point, which was kind of dance. That taught me so much about aging and how important movement is to your longevity, how important balance is, how important brain work is, which we're going to get into all of that later. Dance, just in your living room, turn on music and moving around, helps you so much with so many things because you're not always moving forward. That struck me really strong because people tell me all the time, oh, I walk 10 miles a day. I walk all the time. And now I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, okay, But when you fall someday, it's because a dog's going to come at you and you've had to run sideways. Your body doesn't remember how to go sideways. You don't remember how to turn to the left because you always turn to the right.
Yeah.
It just got me really questioning, what actually do I need to do? So that's where I've got my first certification, and I've kind of been a little consumed with that. I'm up to over 30 different certifications right now, everything from personal trainer to yoga to nutrition, boxing, high intensity interval stuff, all the way to my silver sneakers classes, which are, I have Parkinson's disease certifications. I have osteoporosis, menopause, stuff that is you don't think about, but menopause affects women and it affects their bones and their muscles and makes their body change. And you need to exercise differently because of this.
Well, as you said, you were the East Coast distributor of Involved before that hit you. And so if you're going to go, you're still going to go full bore. So you're not going to stop at one certification. You're going to keep
Absolutely
going.
not.
I wanted to ask you, before we move into the actual heart of these classes and the people that you serve, if you don't mind me asking, when was the diagnosis? At what age were you diagnosed?
I was in my 40s, 47.
So mid 40s, basically.
Yes.
And when this hit you,
most people would get a colonoscopy.
yeah,
And that's another one of my big preaching things is colon cancer is so curable. You can have a colonoscopy and they can remove a polyp that was going to turn into cancer. You can go back to work the next day. You didn't know anything even happened to you. So everyone, please have a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
But that was probably what 11, 12, let's see here. What am I? I'm 58 now. So yeah. So I've made it past that 10-year
Yeah.
mark from cancer. And I'm continue to have my colonoscopies, and I've been clear and healthy. I'm stronger now than I was before
Yeah.
because
And I wanted to ask you about that too. So not right before, but I would say in the years leading up to age 47, when the diagnosis came down, you talked about how busy you were as a human being. Did you see a lacking in your physical activity or your exercise, or were you still relatively active during that?
That's a really good question because I was relatively active, but I wasn't doing anything purposefully.
Okay.
I wasn't, I did take back in years and years ago, there was jazzercise and classes like that. I did take the Zumba classes that were in the old gym and things like that. Wasn't regular because I was too busy with life, but I was walking. I was relatively not sedentary.
Yeah.
But I wasn't regular. I wasn't exercising every week or on a regular basis at all.
Well, the reason I asked that is when you get this diagnosis, this is obviously, as you mentioned, just a 30-pound bomb to the gut. You're just like, wow. Then it's the stages of getting through that and changing your mindset, or you had a strong mindset anyway. You're like, when I get through this, when I get over this, I'm changing the way I do things. When someone goes through that, and you don't have to, I guess, go through things like that to make that huge change, that switch flipping, but that obviously changed your mentality about how you were going to approach afterwards.
Yes.
And so you've gone full into this, and you are probably one of the best promoters of your own stuff in that anybody wants to talk to you about your journey and your health. Well, this is how it went, and this is where you are now because of that life change that you made, because of what you had to go through.
Right.
And it's just impressive to think about that kind of stuff because I've talked to so many people in the last few months of these podcasts. We just mentioned BJ Schreckengost and what she went through and where she is now. I talked to my Uncle Jay about Parkinson's disease, as you mentioned it, and working through that. And we're going to talk in a different podcast, you and I, about being scared to get to the gym, being scared to start, things like that. There are very few excuses that I would imagine you would accept from people because of the way you've had to go through it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm to the point now where there are no excuses. I mean, there really are no excuses. I mean, but when you get hit with something that could have ended your life. I wish that we all could think about that before you hit that place.
Before it actually happens.
Before it actually happens, I wish you could realize, next week I could be diagnosed with something drastic, or I could be in a car wreck. And I think about this a lot when I travel. I travel a lot, and I'm like, I am so grateful for the ability to move.
Yeah.
I have the ability to move. There's so many people out there. You have the ability to move. You don't feel like it, so you don't do it. Well, if you do it, you feel like it.
Yeah. It's very simple when it gets to that. So let's talk about these things that you teach. So the ability to move, the ability to not just have to move forward, because that is something that people think about. Well, I'm biking forward. I'm walking forward. I'm running forward. I'm jogging forward. I'm swimming forward, whatever it may be. And you also mentioned for yourself looking at these influencers on social media, and that would be intimidating for people to look at and say, well, I'm not going to that level. There's no way.
Exactly.
And so you happened to mention something to me before we came on here about simply by who you are, simply by the way you look, you are already shutting down barriers or walls for people who may be intimidated by. And we're not going to talk about intimidation in this podcast, but the ability, and again, people know you here. So there's also that factor of people know who you are. You've been approachable all your life. You've been someone that people can talk to all your life. But who you are, what you've been through, and who you are now is already a positive to get these people to come to your classes. And so let's talk about that. And let's talk about some of these classes and what it is you want to talk about with them.
So we'll just talk about what kind of in detail about what you were talking about. I've had this conversation brought up to me before. I know people tell me all the time, don't look at statistics, don't look at the papers that say, your BMI and what it says and what it means and all this stuff, that it's not valid anymore. But I am a personal trainer. I'm a yoga instructor. I have all these certifications and I can do all this stuff. But over here on this piece of paper, it says I am morbidly obese. Now, I could take that and go, ugh. Like I can't go out in public and I can't do this stuff. But I am not built and I don't look. I'm short and I'm round and I'm almost 60. I don't look like I would have a personal trainer certification. I don't look like that. And I really don't care, and I don't want to look the other way.
Yeah.
I would rather someone that's extremely overweight come to me and say, you're not intimidating.
Yes.
Would you please show me how I can move my body that I can start to have more energy or I can feel better? So I think God built me the way he did, and I went through what I did with cancer and everything like that, and that put me where I am, where I'm in a position for the first time in my life that I can really help others and help others from every age.
Exactly.
Like I've affected some freshmen in high school's lives, and I have 93-year-olds in some of my classes.
You mentioned to me a really good quote I want you to say here about age and about health.
So this is my typical, one of my favorite quotes. I'm actually going to read it just so I don't mess it up to you.
That's fine.
If you can move, you're young. If you can't move, you're old, no matter where you're 20 years old or you're 80 years old. So when people ask me about coming to the gym and say they're intimidated, and I see on videos that these people are just lifting heavy weights and that's not the thing I want to do, that I don't want you to do that either. I just want you to move your body. And that kind of puts me into one of my other favorite stories. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I call it the stagnant pond story.
Yeah.
So I tell people, let's say you're taking a walk through the woods and you come upon a small little pond. There's no water flowing into it. There's no oxygen in there. It's growing muck.
Yeah.
Green, brown, thick, stinky, smelly, thick, yucky muck. No fish can live there. You can't drink that water that's in there. That's what your body's like when you're not moving.
Ooh, ouch.
So let's walk down the stream a little further and see the stream where the water's moving. There's oxygen because it's moving. There's fish living there. It's beautiful. It's clean. You can drink out of it. Yeah. That's what happens to your body when you move. So I've had several, especially older people, come to me months and months after taking my classes, and they'll say, you know, I was home all weekend, and I wasn't moving, and I was hurting. My joints were hurting. I was stiff. I wasn't feeling good. And all I could think about was that muck on the pond. That's what was happening in my body.
Yeah.
I got up. I took some big, deep breaths. I started moving my body, and I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm a clean stream now. You get that vision in your head, and it's hard to not get rid of that the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And all that is a movement. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter. You don't have to go take a high-intensity interval class.
Yeah.
You can turn on music in your kitchen and dance around the living room by yourself for a second. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of movement. You're not going to hurt. Your body's not going to ache like it did 10 minutes ago.
When I started thinking about this podcast, I immediately went to age because I was looking at mobility, balance, brain games, things to keep you mentally sharp, to keep your brain working, things to keep you mobile, things to keep your balance up, because we talk about falls, we talk about lack of balance in older people. And a lot of the times we talk about this in terms of, well, the quality of life for older people needs to be, and that is true. But as you said, if you're a sedentary 20-year-old, you may not have the best balance in the world. You may be subject to that kind of stuff. Now, you may not be as far along when it comes to that, but you're still in that mode. So the classes that you're teaching, some of the classes you're teaching, number one, talk about mobility. It means movement, lateral movement, not just straightforward movement around, movement. How does that transition into balance? And then we'll touch on brain games after that. But how does the movement transition into balance for you during these classes?
So let's talk about a couple studies that are movement equals longevity for sure, definitely. But Harvard has done this huge study on if you can stand on one foot for 10 seconds, the rate of an early demise of your body goes up, like it goes down, down. You, just by knowing that you can stand on one foot for 10 seconds, increases your longevity with your life.
That's simple.
It's that simple. And it's kind of crazy to realize when people come into my class and they're like, okay, well, I'm scared. What are we going to do? We're going to lift weights today. And I'm like, no, we're just going to march. We're just going to march. That's going to take one foot off the ground, the other foot off the ground, because I want you to learn how to balance on one foot. I don't want you to stand on one foot and hold your arms out and try to balance.
This isn't a DUI test.
No, this is not. This is crazy. I want you to
Not
march.
that I've seen that, folks. I don't know what we're talking about. I've just seen videos.
But and sideways movement. You know, in most exercise classes, if you see an instructor in front of you and you're doing your stuff and you're doing your stuff, I'm like, okay, we're going to go to the left 3 steps. We're going to go to the right 3 steps. We're going to turn around in a circle to the right. Now, I'm going to say, if I don't say what direction, if I just tell my class, all right, I just want you to turn around. You're going to turn your strong way. We all have a strong and a weak way. You're going to turn that direction. So if you're right-handed, most of the time it's your right because you're used to reaching and doing everything this way.
Yeah.
So everybody just turns that way. And I'm like, okay, now turn the other way. There are so many times you see people going, oh, I can't, because you just don't do it. Yeah. Automatically, you turn your strong way. Well, that's what's going to happen. When that dog comes at you, it's going to come on this left side. That's the side you're going to need to turn this way to, and you haven't been doing it, so you can't do it. So then you fall. We all know falling is usually the beginning of the end.
Yes.
A fall, you break a shoulder, you break a hip, it just becomes the beginning of the end. And that's another thing that I try to tell people when they're young. Learn how to spin to the right. Learn how to spin to the right. Shuffle. Shuffle right, shuffle left.
Yeah.
So that if something comes at you or you're shoveling snow or whatever, or a tree. I've had one of my guys tell me he was cutting the limb out of a tree. He saw it coming at him. He had to make a quick decision, which goes back to our brain games, using our brain to judge which way.
Yeah.
Which way do I go? Which way does my body go? Muscle is memory. Muscle has memory. If you haven't been shuffling, like that little basketball shuffle where
Yeah.
you shuffle left and right, your body doesn't know how to do it. And when something's rolling at you or coming at you, you can't shuffle.
If you haven't trained
You
that.
haven't, yeah. So movement to me in my classes are functional stuff.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about slamming down in your chair. You see older people all the time when they go to sit down. When they get close to that chair, they just go boom.
They hit the
and slam back
threshold.
down.
Yeah.
That's because they have weak muscles. And the weak muscles are because they're not used to doing that. Lots of injuries come from sitting down the toilet, getting in and out of your car as you age because you lose the strength in your quadriceps, in your hamstrings, and your glutes, basically. So we work on that. We work on just trying to get out of the chair. Don't get out. I want you to do just like you're going to do to get out of that chair. Start working those muscles. These are things you can do at home. Every commercial when you're watching television, go like you're going to stand up, but get back down. Start to strengthen those sit-to-stand muscles so you don't slam down when you sit down.
When I think of what you're saying here, and I think of the types of certifications you have, I remember I remember this very vividly. You came out when I was teaching still, and you came out to do just a quick groove session. And of course, you were so unapologetically positive about it. And it took you some time to get people to get out of the comfort zone, but you got some people out there and moving around. And then by the end of it, they're chatting up and laughing and having a good time. That's only one part of it. These classes, are these like one of your own brainchilds, or are there actual other classes that you've followed or looked at that you've like, is this something that happens in one class, or have you just molded multiple things together?
That is more the answer. I don't do just a this or just a that.
Okay.
I am taking just a little bit of everything. I use my stretching certifications to warm up. I use my stretching and my breathing certifications. There's a lot about breathing that is so, so important. So much stuff about your brain that, things that people don't even think about. Stimulating your vagus nerve affects the chemicals in your brain. Did you know that it is not physically possible to be depressed and sing at the same time?
Really?
Your brain's not able to do it.
I did not know that.
Yes. So these are studies that show. So some of the stuff I do sometime, I'm like, okay, we're going to sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And I turn the music on really loud. And I make them all sing. And I'm like, I want to hear the worst singing that there ever was as loud as you can. That vibrates and stimulates your vagus nerve, which changes the chemicals in your brain.
Gee whiz.
So there's a method to my madness. So I'm going to talk about balance for just a second about that, because this is my long-running joke with my mom in classes. My mom says, when you first started teaching, you told me that I can do it my way. You can't get it wrong. I'd rather you do it than not do it.
Yeah.
So there's no wrong or right way. If I'm saying arms up and down, half the people in my classroom have shoulder replacements, need shoulder replacements, knees, hips, whatever. They can't raise one arm. So if I'm going up and down, they may be doing this. Yeah. They may not be able to go all the way up. They may be right here because they've had some surgeries or need surgery. So do it your way. Move and do it your way. But when it comes to some of this stuff there's this invisible line down the middle of your body. The right side of your brain controls the left side of your body.
Yeah.
The left side of your brain controls the right side. Especially with older people, dementia, aging, balance, you need to cross that midline. Your right hand needs to come to the left knee. I'm telling you, in the beginning, it's such a struggle for people.
Yeah.
And my mom is one of them. She's constantly going right hand to right knee. And I'm like, right hand to left knee, right hand to left knee. And I'm like, there's a method to my madness. There's a science behind this. You
Yeah.
need to cross the midline. So we do weird stuff like that I normally don't even explain.
Yeah.
They're getting some brain benefits from these brain games and these things that I do, but it also is working on their balance, and it also is working on this. My biggest thing that I learned from this cancer treatment is that exercise, working out, if you honestly ask, there's a very small population of people who say, it's the best thing ever. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to do it, right? Is
Yeah,
that not right?
it's true.
Yes. So if you make it fun, they want to do it.
Yeah.
And they want to come. They want to show up. So I use music. I use my 50s and 60s for my senior classes. I make it fun. We row our boats. I do like working at the car wash songs, and we wash our car the whole time. They're singing, they're laughing, they're having fun. Then when it's over with, they're like, whew, I'm sweating.
Exactly.
Everything's hurting. And I'm like, we're done. And they're like, wait a minute, we just started. And I said, no, we've been doing this for an hour. They don't even realize it because you've made it fun.
And you've satisfied this movement, laterally this movement, twirling this movement. You've satisfied this in ways that people don't think are exercise, because they may have been forced into thinking there's only a few ways that exercise is done. And you've changed the game with that, which is fantastic for people of all ages, but of course the people who just need to be movement. They need to be getting movement. Yep. And you teach these brain games while it's happening, of course. Yes. You do these things to satisfy, as you said, the midline, and that's something I didn't know about. I didn't know, I knew the right side of the brain, transitions to the left side of the body, but I didn't know that you could actually train things like that just by crossing that line. And that is something really good, obviously, for balance, for people who struggle with that. What are some of the improvements that you see in these people? How long have you been doing these classes? And
I'm going on.
I assume you have some regulars.
Yes, I do. And I've actually had to change my classes lately. I had so many people coming to what I called was my chair class.
Okay.
Where you stay in a chair, you march, you move, you twist, that class. I was noticing that there was like 12 of them shouldn't be in that class anymore.
Did you give them a nice little nudge?
Yes.
Hey, I realized that you probably could stand up and do this.
Probably should be standing up. So what I did was I'm like, all right, everybody, we only have this many seats in class. We're getting too many in class. So I'm going to start a 9 o'clock class an hour earlier, and it's for all of you that can stand up. Could you please come to that class? Because I need these chairs for these new people that are joining. Ha ha. I mean, I've kind of faked them out. I convinced them to come to the stand-up class, and now those people are standing up, moving around, doing the same thing. The exact same things that we did in that chair class, marching, but they're walking and traveling now.
Yeah. Just so you know, when this podcast comes out, you're going to have some angry hate mail from those people who now have realized they were hoodwinked by
Exactly. Yep.
That's okay, though. They'll probably have a good time. We're like, she did that, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
But that's good, because the goal is to continually reach that, what we always call in the world of education, the zone of proximal development, if you want to call it that. You want to be in the zone that challenges you.
Right.
But it's not too hard.
Right.
That's where you want to stay. And if you continue to work, you're not going to be in that same zone for the rest of your life. You're going to have to move into a better zone because you're active.
Exactly. Another thing about kind of what you're talking about is that I try to also explain people, we don't all come to the gym after drinking a glass of espresso and have all this energy.
Yeah.
There are nights we didn't sleep. There are nights that we just were sick or didn't feel good, but we showed up at the gym. So I want to make sure that you have permission to have a not feel so good day, but be really proud that you're here. Yeah. So if you're not feeling it today, and I said, okay, we're we've been doing our chair class for this long, but we're going to stand up and do 10 minutes. We're going to do 10 minutes of balance work, but you're going to hold on to the back of that chair. But if you're not feeling it, don't do it because everybody else is doing it. Everybody in this room realizes you may not feel good. You may have had company. You didn't sleep good last night. You ate something this morning that makes you not feel good. But you should be so proud that you're here and you walked in the door. So I kind of try to make sure everybody gets permission for that. And I also give it to them in all levels.
Yeah.
So that my 93-year-old, this is one of the hardest things I think I have done in teaching my classes, is that I can have a 20-year-old in the same class with my 93-year-old.
Yeah.
Makes it really hard on me because I have to say, okay, you can do this, but you can do this.
Yeah.
But I don't even point them out either. If you're not feeling it today, just step and tap.
Yeah.
If you're feeling it today, give me some big, deep squats. But they can be side by side in the same class in my classroom.
Therein lies, the challenge for you, but that's also, I imagine, as somebody who revels in challenges, also something that you embrace. You're like, okay, you see them coming in, you have an idea of what you're going to do, and so immediately you're starting to formulate the ideas on how you're going to approach this without calling anybody out.
Exactly.
That's why you take all the certifications.
Exactly, because I have in my head that today we're going to stand up and we're going to do this whole class standing up, and I have 2 people come in a wheelchair. I got to change it really quick. So just giving people the permission to just say, hey, it's all right if you don't feel it today. Yeah. Sit back down, kick your feet, move your arms, breathe, and move your body. Don't be that stagnant pond. But don't give me 100% today. Next week, think about it and give me 100%.
So what you've done is obviously you have given permission to anybody to be active in these classes. There are no restrictions, basically, and you teach multiple classes. So there's multiple opportunities for people to join in different ways and get involved in different ways to get movement, get balance started, work the brain with those brain games, all 3 feeding into improving their quality of life. And you do it in a way, as you said, you're not a 6-foot, 120-pound chiseled influencer on social media.
Right.
You are somebody who is a part of the community, has been here forever, and people know you, and you're just who you are. And it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to be comfortable with.
It is. I tell people all the time, I'm real.
Yeah.
I'm real. I can't zip up my size pair of pants that I wore, 20 years ago. I have hormone issues because I had all this stuff removed when I had to have colon cancer surgery. So I've got menopause issues. I'm feeling the same thing you're feeling. I didn't sleep last night because of this. I'm real. I'm you. So don't tell me. I know that's another podcast we're going to talk about, but don't try to come at me with excuses because.
Well, did you know that when you got all these certifications, you were going to be a subsidiary therapist as well sometimes?
No. Yes, I did not.
And I'm sure people come to you with those issues, but one way you are able to mitigate those issues is to get them involved quickly and get them active quickly, because one thing we do know is movement affects your physical health, but it affects your mental wellness as well. You could be having some bad times, some tough issues, but if they get here and get into your class and you start moving them, you'll see it. I'm sure you see it consistently. People just let those things fall away.
Yep. So many, and you just don't realize it because you don't feel like it. You don't feel good. You feel bad about yourself. You feel depressed, or you're unhappy, or you're miserable, or whatever. But man, when you exercise, it changes. And I can be honest with you. At 6 o'clock this morning when I came into work, I said a little prayer. Dear God, please don't let anyone show up for my 6:10 a.m. class, which is a high intensity. It's a 15-minute class.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really like. I have attention deficit. So if you tell me it's going to take an hour and you're going to spend 5 minutes doing biceps, 5 minutes doing this, but if you say, hey, 15 minutes, if you crawl like a bear on the floor, you're going to use all those muscles, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. That's what I do sometimes in the mornings. But I prayed this morning, please, God, don't let anyone show up.
You're saying you weren't
for
feeling
this
it
class.
today?
I was not feeling it. And here she walks around the corner, the first one, she goes, You didn't think I was going to come, did you? And I was like, crap. Second, 15 minutes, I was like, whoa, I feel so good.
Didn't even know you needed it.
My brain was feeling better, of the little euphoric feeling, the rush you get from exercising. My body felt better. I was sweating, but and guess what that did? Gave me more energy for the whole rest of the day.
Set the tone. It set the tone.
Yep.
Well, I love the way you're approaching this with your multiple different certifications. You've gained a vast wealth of knowledge about movement and how it affects balance and how your brain needs to be involved in that at any age. But again, we're talking about people who have been sedentary, who need to be moving, who need to get those stabilizer muscles fixed. They need to get working in whatever way possible. You've changed the exercise game a little bit here, and that's nice to have in an aging population in Roane County and people with so many issues. You've done a fantastic job with this. I got to ask you, as I ask most of the people, the final question. I need to know how people can get involved in this. How people can get involved in this. What types of people will you take?
Absolutely everyone. Like I said earlier, I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. If your legs don't work, you can still take my class. Mm-hmm. You can still do your arms. I mean, there's something that you can get out of coming, just walking in the door. Walking in the door. That's all you got to do. Come in and talk to me. You don't even have to come in and take a class.
Yeah.
If you haven't joined the gym and you're like, I don't even think I can do this, don't come and join. Just come in and talk to me.
Yeah.
Let me take you back in that classroom and show you what I do. We do it behind closed doors. A lot of people are like, I can't do that in front of, everybody and stuff like that. Just come and see me. Give me 5 or 10 minutes let me to show you and talk to you about what we can do and where we could start. And you can tell me what doesn't work and what hurts on you and things like that. But it's okay because we're going to work around it. We're going to find a way around it.
Well, the general theme of this continues to be there are no excuses. So we appreciate you for joining us here on this first podcast. We're going to be talking again soon. We'll be talking about the toughest part of the gym.
Walking in the door.
And that is walking in the door. We'll be talking to you later. Veronica Stover, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another episode of For Your Health is in the books, folks. Thank you very much for joining us.